My neighbor lost her house over $1,800. Not $1,800 a month. Not $1,800,000. $1,800 total. She owned her home outright, no mortgage, lived there for 12 years, raised her kids there, and the HOA took it from her and sold it at auction. She didn't know it was happening until a sheriff showed up at her door with an eviction notice. And here's the terrifying part. It was completely legal. I'm going to tell you exactly how this happened. Because if you live in a Florida HOA, or you're thinking about buying a house in one, you need to understand something that your real estate agent probably didn't tell you. Your HOA has more power over your property than your mortgage company does. They can fine you. They can put a lien on your house, and they can foreclose on you and take your home. Not the bank, the HOA, your neighbors, the people you see at the mailbox. And it happens way more often than you think. Let me show you how. First, let me explain what an HOA actually is, because most people don't really understand what they're signing up for. A homeowners association is a legal entity that governs a community. When you buy a house in an HOA, you're not just buying property. You're entering into a contract. You're agreeing to follow their rules, pay their fees, and accept their authority. And in Florida, that authority is massive. Here's what your HOA can do. They can create rules about what color you paint your house, what kind of fence you build, what you plant in your yard, where you park your car, whether you can have a basketball hoop, whether you can fly a flag. They can fine you for violating these rules. $50 a day. $100 a day. Sometimes more. If you don't pay the fines, they can put a lien on your house. If you don't pay the lien, they can foreclose. And here's the part that shocks people. They can do this even if you're current on your mortgage. Even if you own your home outright. The HOA lien is superior to almost everything except property tax liens and mortgage liens that were recorded first. So let me tell you what happened to my neighbor. Her name is Patricia. She's 67, retired teacher, widow. She got a notice from the HOA in 2019 saying her mailbox needed to be repainted. It was faded. Against the HOA rules, she ignored it. She was dealing with her husband's death. A mailbox wasn't her priority. The HOA sent another notice, then another. Then they started fining her $50 a day for non-compliance. She still didn't respond. She was grieving. She wasn't checking her mail regularly. After 60 days, the fines added up to $3,000, plus the original HOA dues she owed of $450, plus late fees, plus administrative fees, plus legal fees because they hired a lawyer to send her letters. Total amount, $4,800. The HOA put a lien on her house. She didn't know. The lien paperwork was sent to her address, but she wasn't really processing anything. Depression, grief. 6 months later, the HOA filed for foreclosure. Florida law says they can do this after the debt is 12 months old or $1,000, whichever comes first. She was way past both. The foreclosure notice was published in a newspaper. Not sent to her. Published. In a legal notices section that nobody reads. She didn't see it. The foreclosure sale happened. Her house, worth $290,000, was sold at auction for $15,000. The buyer was an investor who shows up to these auctions specifically to buy houses for pennies on the dollar. That investor then started eviction proceedings. That's when Patricia found out, when a sheriff knocked on her door and handed her an eviction notice. She had 30 days to get out of the house she'd lived in for 12 years. The house she owned, free and clear. She hired a lawyer, tried to fight it, but the law was clear. Everything had been done legally. The foreclosure was valid. She lost her house over a mailbox and $4,800 in fees that had grown from a $450 HOA payment she forgot to make while dealing with her husband's death. And the HOA kept the legal fees. The investor got a $290,000 house for $15,000. Patricia got nothing. Welcome to Florida HOAs. Now, you might be thinking Patricia's story is an extreme case, a tragic outlier. It's not. I started digging into this. I went to the county clerk's office and looked up HOA foreclosures in my county for the last 5 years. 327 foreclosures. 327 people lost their homes to HOAs, not to banks, to HOAs. Some were over thousands in unpaid fees. Some were over hundreds. One was over $87. $87. A man lost his condo because he owed $87 in HOA fees, didn't respond to notices, and by the time the foreclosure happened, the legal fees and interest had ballooned it to $8,000. His condo sold for $12,000. It was worth $180,000. This isn't rare. This is a business model. There are law firms in Florida that specialize in HOA foreclosures. They make millions of dollars a year filing liens and foreclosures for HOAs. And there are investors who make millions buying these properties at auction for nothing and flipping them. The HOA gets their money. The lawyers get paid. The investors get rich. The homeowner loses everything. Let me explain how this happens legally, because the mechanics of this are important. When you don't pay your HOA fees, the HOA can file a lien. This is called a claim of lien, and it's public record. Once the lien is filed, interest starts accruing. In Florida, HOAs can charge up to 18% interest annually on unpaid fees. 18%. Plus, they can charge you for their legal fees. All of them. Every letter their lawyer sends, every filing, every hearing. You pay for it. So, a $450 unpaid HOA fee can become $2,000 in 6 months, just from interest and legal fees. After 12 months, or $1,000 in debt, the HOA can file for foreclosure. They don't have to, but they can, and many do. The foreclosure process takes about 6 months in Florida. During that time, more interest and legal fees are piling up. By the time your house goes to auction, you might owe $10,000 on an original $450 debt. And here's the really messed up part. The starting bid at the auction is usually just the amount owed to the HOA, not the market value of the house. So your $300,000 house goes up for auction with a starting bid of $10,000. Investors know this. They show up. They bid. They buy houses for nothing. You lose everything. And if you're not paying attention, if you're going through a divorce or a health crisis or a financial emergency, you might not even know it's happening until it's too late. Let me tell you about another case I found. A guy named Robert. He bought a condo in Fort Myers as an investment property in 2018. He lived in Atlanta. He rented the condo out. His property management company was supposed to pay the HOA fees. They didn't. They were embezzling from him. By the time Robert found out, his condo had already been foreclosed on and sold. He owed $3,400 in back fees and legal costs. His condo sold for $8,000. It was worth $220,000. He sued the property management company, won the lawsuit, but they had already filed bankruptcy. He got nothing. He lost a $220,000 condo over $3,400 that he didn't even know he owed. The HOA didn't care that he wasn't the one who failed to pay. The HOA didn't care that he was a victim of fraud. The HOA followed the law, and the law says they can foreclose. So they did. Now let me talk about the power imbalance here, because this is what people don't understand. When you have a mortgage and you stop paying, the bank has to follow strict foreclosure laws. They have to send you multiple notices. They have to give you chances to catch up. They have to offer loss mitigation. The process takes months, and you have rights. When you owe your HOA money, you have almost no rights. The HOA can fine you without a trial. They can put a lien on your house without a court order. They can foreclose faster than a mortgage company can. And the amount of money can be trivial. A few $1,000s, a few $100s. You can own your house outright, have $300,000 in equity, and lose it over $1,500. And here's the thing nobody tells you. HOA foreclosures wipe out junior liens. If you have a second mortgage or a home equity line of credit that was recorded after the HOA lien, those get wiped out when the HOA forecloses. The investor who buys your house at auction gets it free and clear of those debts. So not only do you lose your house, but those lenders lose their money too. And they're not happy about it. There have been lawsuits. There have been challenges. But Florida law is clear. HOAs have this power. Let me talk about what triggers this. Because it's not just unpaid fees. Fines. HOAs can fine you for violations of their rules. And Florida HOA rules can be insane. I've seen HOAs fine people for parking in their own driveway, having the wrong color curtains visible from the street, putting trash cans out 1 hour too early, having a crack in their driveway, not mowing their lawn to the exact specified height, having a basketball hoop, flying an American flag the wrong size. These aren't exaggerations. These are real fines from real HOAs. And if you don't pay the fines, they add up. And they can lead to foreclosure. I know a guy who got fined $100 a day for having his boat in his driveway. The HOA rules said no boats visible from the street. He thought his driveway didn't count. After 30 days, he owed $3,000. After 60 days, $6,000. After 90 days, $9,000. He fought it, hired a lawyer, went to hearings, eventually won and got the fines reduced. But he spent $8,000 on legal fees, fighting $9,000 in fines over a boat in his driveway. This is what HOAs can do. And most people don't have $8,000 to fight them. So they pay. Or they ignore it and hope it goes away. And sometimes it doesn't go away. It turns into a lien. And sometimes that lien turns into a foreclosure. Now, not all HOAs are evil. I want to be clear about that. Many HOAs are run by reasonable people who are just trying to maintain property values and keep the community nice. But the problem is the power structure. HOAs are run by boards. Boards are made up of volunteers. Often, these volunteers are retirees with too much time, busybodies who love enforcing rules, or people on power trips, and they have the full force of law behind them. If your HOA board decides they don't like you, they can make your life hell. They can fine you for every minor violation. They can reject your architectural requests. They can make you feel like a prisoner in your own home. And if you fight back, if you challenge them, They can bury you in legal fees because they're spending the HOA's money. You're spending your money. It's not a fair fight. Let me tell you about HOA board corruption, because this is a real thing. I found cases where HOA board members gave contracts to their friends and family, property management companies, landscaping companies, maintenance companies. I found cases where board members embezzled HOA funds. I found cases where board members created rules specifically to target people they didn't like. And when homeowners tried to vote them out, the board changed the voting rules to make it almost impossible. Florida law requires HOAs to hold elections, but the board controls how the elections are run. They control who counts the votes. They control the process. I've heard stories of boards rejecting proxies for technical reasons, boards scheduling meetings during work hours when people can't attend, boards invalidating ballots they don't like. It's not democracy. It's autocracy with a homeowners association logo, and you agreed to it when you bought your house. So what can you do? If you're already in an HOA, here's my advice. 1. Read your CC and Rs. That's your covenants, conditions, and restrictions. It's the rule book. Know what you agreed to. 2. Pay your HOA fees on time. Every time. Set up autopay. This is not optional. Missing a payment can spiral out of control fast. 3. Respond to every notice. Even if you think it's stupid. Even if you disagree. Respond in writing. Create a paper trail. 4. Go to HOA meetings. Know who's on your board. Know what they're doing. Vote in elections. 5. If you get fined, appeal it immediately. Follow the process. Don't ignore it. 6. If you're facing a lien, hire a lawyer immediately. Don't wait. Don't hope it goes away. 7. Consider getting a HOA lien search when you buy a house. Make sure there are no hidden liens from previous owners. And if you're thinking about buying a house in an HOA, think very carefully. Ask yourself, am I willing to give up this much control over my property? Because that's what you're doing. You're giving control to a board of neighbors who can fine you, lien you, and potentially foreclose on you. For some people, that's fine. They like the structure. They like the maintained common areas. They like the rules, but know what you're signing up for. Here's what I wish I could tell Patricia. What I wish someone had told her before she ignored those notices about her mailbox. Your HOA is not your friend. Your HOA is a legal entity with the power to take your home. Treat it like you treat the IRS, with respect and fear. Pay what you owe. Respond to what they send. Don't give them a reason to come after you, because they will. And they can. And the law is on their side. Patricia is living with her daughter now. She lost her home, lost her equity, lost her independence over a mailbox. And it was completely legal. That's the power of Florida HOAs. So that's the reality. HOAs in Florida have more power than most people realize. They can fine you, lien you, foreclose on you, take your home. It's not common, but it happens more than you think. And the best defense is knowing your rights, knowing their power, and never giving them a reason to use it. Comment below. Do you live in an HOA? What's your experience? Any horror stories? I want to hear them. See you in the next one.